Women's hell. I did read that as women shall. And I was like, what? Women shall. Women shall. Shall. Women shall. Women's hell. Women's hell. Why are they gendering hell? Falling into hellfire. This place is horrible. It can't possibly get any worse. More people, more women falling into women's hell. Hey, fellow ladies. I feel like they're supposed to be trans women, but really this is a self-own because they've ended up in women's hell, so therefore you're admitting trans women are women. And you're in hell anyway.
You are burning in the fires of hell.
Are trans women really your biggest problem? This is just the epitome of making up an issue that's not an issue, just for the sake of having an issue with something in the world. But yes, hello fellow ladies, because they also ended up in women's hell. Therefore, women. Thank you for admitting that, finally. My jumper today does kind of have the trans flag colours if we pretend that it's white and not grey, and then the little blue and the little pink tennis racket, but unfortunately you can't see it because of the angle I film at. Sorry. It is too hot to be filming in a sweatshirt though. Oh my goodness, what was I thinking? Hey Spuds, it's Jamie, welcome back to another video, your first video on the channel. I don't know, but welcome either way. How you doing? Thank you so much for being here, really appreciate it. I hope you're going to enjoy today's video. You can't see the top of my head because I'm sitting on my foot. There we go. How are we all? What is that? Oh, it's a plant. I was like, what is that down there? It's a plant that Sharp and I have been able to keep alive for nearly 3 months. Woo, yay! But today's video is not about plants. Oh no. It is about something far less wholesome.
Far more horrible.
And actually, quite frankly, entertaining because it's so terrible. Today, we are looking at transphobic memes. And like just transphobic stuff, but they're mostly memes, cartoons. And yeah, we're just gonna have a look at them together, break down some transphobia, talk about why it's wrong. I know that not everybody likes this kind of content. I completely respect that. If you need to switch off for today, that is totally fine. I will see you next time. Or again in the future, whenever you want to jump back in if you ever want to watch another video. Today we're looking at transphobic memes and we're just gonna have a little chat about why they're transphobic and why transphobia is bad and wrong and mean and unnecessary. Unnecessary. Sorry. That will not make sense to anybody. Hello, but before we get started, just popping in to say a big thank you to PrideCounseling for being today's paid promotion. PrideCounseling is 100% online counselling specifically for the LGBTQ+ community, where all counsellors specialise in the LGBTQ+ community, so you know you're gonna have an accepting counsellor. Oh yes. Now I have anxiety, and I've had anxiety for a very long time, and I put off speaking to anybody about it, but I personally have found PrideCounseling very helpful to turn to and actually speak to somebody about it. And all you need to do to get started on PrideCounseling is answer a few questions about yourself, what you need, and your therapy preferences, and then you'll be matched with the right counsellor for you. But P.S. if they're not the right fit for you, it's free and easy to change. Once you're matched up, you can message your counsellor at any point to schedule a session, and these can be done in whatever way you feel most comfortable with. So text, chat, video call, or phone call, whatever you want. And with Pride Counseling, you get the same level of quality and professional counselling you'd expect with in-person counselling, but with a custom-picked counsellor, more flexibility in scheduling, and there's also financial aid available too. I'm personally a big fan of online counselling because I think it's great to be able to communicate with your counsellor in the way that you're most comfortable with. Not everybody likes a phone call, not everybody likes a video call, so you have options if those are things that you don't want to do. And it makes it so much easier to schedule in sessions when you don't have to allow for commute times to get to the sessions, and you can just be in the comfort of your own home. So yes, big fan right here. If you're interested, you can get 10% off your first month at pridecounseling.com/Jammidodger, or you can go click that link in the description box. Thank you very much for listening. Now on with the video. Teens, 60 BC, 60 years before Christ. Oh, big dog, muscly dog wearing armor. Yes, because we love the fact that teens went off to war and died and had to wear armor and carry swords. How appropriate. I have returned from gladiator training. Oh, not for war, gladiator training, and ready for my arranged marriage. Are they saying that's a good thing? That's how teens should be? Teens now, little crying dog with a progress flag on the forehead. Mum, Timmy called me a he. Are they trying to say that like this generation is far too sensitive? You would prefer that literal teenagers, like minors, were going to gladiator training where they could die and get seriously injured, and then they are being forced into arranged marriage marriages. That's what you would prefer for teenagers than some of them being openly trans. Because I tell you what, trans teenagers did exist in 60 BC. They might not have had the language for it or the same language for it that we have nowadays, but I guarantee you they existed. It is not a new age thing, and I bet you it did hurt them when they were referred to wrong. But you don't hear about it because it's been erased from history. Nobody gave a shit. Or it is there somewhere, but still nobody gives a shit. There you go, you heard it here first. Transphobes think that pronouns have become such a big issue and that teens this era are so sensitive because of trans things that we should return to training them for gladiatorhood and arranging them into marriages. Lovely. Things I avoid in a relationship. This is the red flags. Starts with non-binary. You avoid non-binary people in a relationship, or you just avoid non-binary. Anything that is outside the binary, oh my god, no. Woke culture enthusiasts. Okay, so anybody who's not a bigot. Right. Vegan. I don't understand. I don't get it. Just automatically, no vegans. No. Men. Fair. That's just an attraction. That's just an orientation. You don't date men. Fair. Jordan Peterson, hater. Now, I thought that was just going to be Jordan Peterson, but no. Jordan Peterson, hater. These are their red flags. Good luck. This isn't just somebody who clearly doesn't like non-binary people. I mean, that can also be an attraction. Like, if you are exclusively attracted and exclusively want to date women, fair. That would disclude men and non-binary people because neither men nor non-binary people are women. But kind of bizarre just to just say it. I don't know. And then woke culture enthusiasts, vegans, men, Jordan Peterson hater. As a combination, the way this reads isn't just I'm listing my orientation and who I'm attracted to. A bit uncomfortable. You could just say, this is who I am and this is my sexual orientation. That would suffice, but no, the woke culture. I only date bigots. Grandma, did you know that there are more than two What a mean grandma. Grandma just... I wonder what the actual story behind this photo is. What was that kid doing for her to just go whoop? Grandma's not up with the times then, is she? Lots of grandmas are, but some grandmas aren't and some younger people aren't. I think there is a little bit of a generational thing, but it's just to do with understanding and fearing of the unknown. But I really don't think that being of an older generation is an excuse to remain being bigoted against other people who are different to yourself. It's the person that made this meme recommending this is a really good thing to do. Yes, anyone who believes there are more than two genders, throw a cup of water in their face before they can finish their sentences. What is gend? Am I a gend? I got surprised by the plant was surprising me, and then I got surprised by the prince, and I'm like, what is in my video? Does this look like trans joy to you? Before trans versus after trans. Being a dick is something you have to try at. Lovely tweet from Ollie London. Let's take an old photo of somebody when they were clearly much younger before they'd started aging. We'll find one with good lighting where they happen to be smiling. This is them before.
Before the transness got them.
And then what we're going to do is find a photo of them significantly older. We all start looking different as we age. At a bad angle, looking a bit tired, not smiling in that moment. Maybe talking about something really serious. Maybe he didn't get a great night's sleep. But yes, let's take these two teeny weeny snapshots of somebody's life, and this is my evidence against transitioning. This is all the evidence you need to show that trans joy doesn't exist. It's not a thing. Transitioning makes people miserable. No, I can't even say it. Do you see the straws that have to be clutched at? There is absolutely no argument or no thing of substance for transphobes to actually rely on and be transphobic with and justify their transphobia away. There is nothing substantial. There is nothing justifiable about transphobia. So what they end up doing is looking stupid. I could take two photos of myself. I could find a photo of myself from before I transitioned and a photo of myself after where I looked happier before. But it's because I would have to search out one specifically where I look miserable now. Just because I've transitioned and just because it's the right thing for me to do, it's the right thing for other people to do, doesn't mean that we're going to be happy 100% of the time and smiling 100% of the time. Just because I was miserable before I transitioned and came out doesn't mean I looked miserable on the outside 100% of the time. You're always going to be able to make things like this, but it is absolutely baseless, strange, and such a waste of time. Odd behaviour. Odd. What an interesting thing to do on a bike. Wow. Not to brag, but I've been the same gender my whole life. Now, this may come as a shock to some people, but so have I. It's nothing to brag. My gender hasn't changed. I get it. The word is transgender. That doesn't mean I have changed my gender. What that means is that my gender is different to my assigned birth sex. It's different to the one I was assigned at birth, but that was never my gender. My gender has always been man. Have your little brag, but you're in a very big club. Trans people are not excluded from that club. Not to brag, I can't do my leg like that. You can brag about your flexibility, because not everyone can do that. But not to brag, but I've been the same gender my whole life. There are more than two genders. I appreciate the message. I personally, don't get this image. I know what they're trying to say, and it's trying to be like a message of acceptance of any combination of identity and any combination of feeling and internal sense of self. It just comes across a little strange. This one in particular, pink, and then just the middle bit is blue, and then the little half skirt thing. And then it's just a lone toilet door sign on the far right. I'm not hating. If it works for some people, it works for some people. It's just not the way I would represent things for myself. Anyway, somebody replied to this going, there are no genders. Get a life. Everybody's agender. Yes. This is almost accidental ally. I could have included this in accidental ally for agender people. Everybody is genderless. What have we been doing this whole time? That's why it's so difficult for transphobes to answer. Oh, there are no genders, get a life. Get an ability to just Google. I wonder why there are no women transitioning to men and trying to compete in men's sports. Firstly, trans men exist. Not that I would not refer to myself as somebody who was a woman and transitioned into a man. I've always been a man. Yes, correct. There are no women transitioning into men. I can't speak for the entire trans community and how they see their identity. That's how I view mine, though. I'm very firm in the fact that, my gender has not changed. And trying to compete in men's sports. This is them trying to have, a gotcha for the whole,
women's sports, protect from trans women. They don't belong in women's sports. All trans women are just men trying to win sport and do better, so they're going to compete against women.
I mean, that's just rude to women athletes and also transphobic. But actually, there are plenty of trans men who compete in men's sports or / are trying to compete in men's sports, because the whole big outrage towards trans women in women's sports and trying to push trans women into men's sports has also pushed a lot of trans men into women's sports. As in literal men on testosterone, literal men into women's sports. The very thing that transphobes try to claim that they want to avoid and they want to protect women's sports from men, they're doing the wrong thing. They're pushing trans women out and pushing trans men, it's in the name, in. So we are seeing instances of trans men being forced, if they want to continue doing their sport, forced to compete in women's categories. There was a trans man at a university who wrestled, and the transphobes jumped on it to be this man is beating women in wrestling and blah blah blah, not understanding that he was a trans man and was there because he'd literally been forced to be there. It's ridiculous. And the reason why these memes exist and why this belief exists is because people don't understand that trans men exist and are just out here living our lives, playing our sports. I mean, I don't sport anymore. I did when I was younger. It's just not something I'm interested in anymore. But yes, many trans men do sport. There's so much focus on hating trans women. Do you know what else it is as well? It's as soon as trans men are actually acknowledged and factored in, any kind of false sense of legitimacy, any kind of trying to legitimize the hatred from transphobes towards trans women, any argument they think they have or that comes across as seemingly sensible to some people and seemingly justifiable to some people falls apart as soon as trans men are put in the mix and acknowledged. Just does not make sense anymore. So trans men have to be ignored in order for transphobes to even attempt to sound legitimate to some people. LGB in the water, falling with a chain around their waist, being dragged down by the TQ. Not just the T, the TQ. And it's what about pan people? Are you saying pansexual people are dragging down LGB? Just anybody who is not cis, lesbian, gay or bisexual, dragging the trans community, dragging the community down. This shit is dragging the trans community down. I think that's where my brain went. What confuses me, I said this before, I'm a bisexual trans man. So where am I? Can I be acceptable to the transphobic LGB people because I'm bisexual? Or does the fact I'm trans just override every other element of my identity and I am just shunned? No, we don't accept you as bisexual because you're trans. I don't know why people are like this. I don't understand understand this whole like separating and trying to do infighting. Actually, if we look at the statistics, it's a very, very, very small minority of cis LGBT plus people who do not accept trans people. Really like tiny, and far smaller than the number of cis straight people who don't accept trans people, which is also the minority, by the way. A lot of people are neutral towards the trans community, and then there's more people who are accepting than are non-accepting. It's just the non-accepting people are really loud. And all of these things, all of these like LGB but anti-T groups, they're all just like cis straight people with a few probably very internalized homophobic LGB people involved as well, because they're not doing anything for LGBT rights even. It's just all about hating T people, and there's like biphobia as well in there, and it's just no, it's just straight people also trying to find legitimate reasons to be transphobic. Who would you rather have babysit your children? Seriously. What kind of echo chamber has this gone out to? Transgenders isn't even grammatically correct, let alone the other awfulness about this. That says significantly more about the 93% of people who voted than it does about trans people. Because I absolutely know who I would rather have babysit my children, and it's not the top group, and it's nobody that voted for the top group. You can stay well away from me and my future kids, thank you very much. Notice that no men in the crowd clap for Dylan, only the woke women do. They're the hens inviting foxes into the hen house. Yeah, I think she won a Streamy Award this year. I didn't see the footage of who was actually clapping, but like notice that no men in the crowd clap for Dylan. Is that true? I don't know, but only the woke women do. It's like if you're supporting a trans person, you're labelled as woke, and then woke is used as some kind of insulting term, and I just see it as like keeping up with the times, being respectful to other people, seeing how the world is evolving and language is evolving, and respecting that, and not being a bigot. It's not an insult to be called woke. They're the hens inviting foxes into the hen house. It's just like, why so much? I don't understand the level of transphobia. But anyway, somebody quote retweeted this, and if you didn't think that was bad enough, it gets worse. Women don't actually see Dylan as a woman. If they did, they wouldn't be as nice. Women are horrible to each other, especially when one gains success.
Real women hate other women.
No, they don't. Like, that is just bullshit. Of all the things I've seen of like what makes you a real woman and not, Dylan Mulvaney can't be a real woman because other women would hate her otherwise. They see, I'm not going to misgender Dylan, they see her as the epitome of the stereotypical GBF they see in movies. The sassy, non-threatening man who's basically one of the girls. No, that's like saying I don't accept this thing, and I don't accept it to the point where I cannot comprehend the fact that some people are actually respectful, non-transphobic human beings, that I am going to give other people a reason for what they're doing. I've just made it up in my head. And I've also decided that women hate each other. Do you know, if that were actually true, then I know none, or very few, and the ones I do know I don't speak to. I know of very, very few actual women then. None of the women that I am friends with, or the one I'm married to, none of them are actually women according to this person, because they are nice to other women. They do uplift other women, and especially when they gain successes, when our friends are successful, they support each other, they uplift each other, they celebrate each other's successes. That's what all the women I know do. The left mind and the right mind. So the left mind, man goes to man, woman, transgender, bad, okay? The right mind, man goes to man, right? Woman, on the left mind, goes to woman, transgender, good, victims, okay? Woman goes to woman on the right mind. People are nothing more than being a man, so no man is good, no man is bad, no man is a victim, no man is Trump. Trump is not a man. Child just goes to transgender on the left mind, but goes to child on the right mind. Words go to violence and bad in the left mind, apparently, but go to good in the right mind. So bizarre. Maybe this explains a lot about like very right-wing people who are very bigoted. It's just like this single track mind, like no deviating from what I've always known and what I think is right. Does work, actually. Violence is violence in both. Rodents are bad and down to black people. What the And then in the right mind, apparently black people are just people, which they are. But like, you're really telling me that amongst people who have very strong right-wing politics, there's less racism than left-wing politics? I don't know where that's come from. And then also in the left mind, black people are victims, right? But also seen negatively, but also seen as victims. That's what the right think the left see black people as. White people, there's multiple arrows pointing to bad. And white people are just people in the right mind. This is very all lives matter, isn't it? I'm just getting that vibe. Actually, I think on the right mind, white people should point to victims. That's what it feels like. But yeah, apparently just bad. Not people, just bad. Victims? Nothing points to victims. It's a very one way. Victims are victims in the right mind. Trump is man, violence, bad, orange. Cool. On the right mind, Trump is Trump. Trump uses Trump pronouns for Trump's self because Trump apparently is not a man, not a woman, not good either, not just a person, and not orange. I mean, objectively, if we measured the colour of his face, would it come out as orange? I think there's a high chance. And then fruit, Trump. And then in the right mind, fruit, orange. It gets worse and worse and worse. I don't even know what to say. I think I said what I needed to say as I went along. It's just so wrong and bad and bizarre, and it helps explain a lot about the right mind. This is the future leftists want for our homes. Adult fun times before marriage lounge. That's what the lounge is for. The estrogen lab. Trans bathroom. Of course they made the bathroom trans. Gay room. Just the gay room. We don't know what room. Is it a lounge? Is it a bedroom? I don't know. Just the gay room. And then they literally have a cupboard, I think, that just says abortion. Boy, wife, kitchen. I don't think YouTube would like me to say it out loud, but the something smoking patio. It's legal some places. Yes, this is the future home leftists want. Everybody needs to live by this. You have a specific room that is very, very gay. All of that jazz. You have a cupboard for abortions. Like, only trans people can go in the bathroom at all. If you go in the lounge, you must have premarital adult fun times. If you go in the estrogen lab, you have to take estrogen. I don't know what trans guys are gonna do. I don't want to take estrogen. Tell them your van identifies as a motorbike. Somebody needs to tell very clearly to the transphobes that this is the oldest and the unfunniest joke. Just stop. Me. The B in LGBT means there are only two genders. LGBT community. It's like attracted to two or more genders. It's not just attracted to men and women. The existence of one label that humans have created to describe an experience, how can that possibly invalidate another label that humans have created to describe an experience? Because I feel like that's what they're trying to say. The B in LGBT means that non-binary people don't exist. That's what this reads as. Humans created the term bisexual. And that's what I don't understand. Like, literally, we made language. Everything has been invented and made up at some point, and language has evolved and changed so many different times to move with the times, to grow with the times, to better suit society and how people are in society during that time period. The fact that people cling on to things so tightly, if you open your fist, nothing is there because there is nothing for you to be having a big problem over. This was posted by an actual doctor. If genitals don't define gender, how does removing them affirm it? Why do transphobes think they're so clever? Different things are gender affirming for different people. It's also not all about removing, and I would feel like a doctor should know that, but clearly they don't know anything about trans people. Sorry, you can just see like the top of my little naked knee. It's very warm right now, hence the ridiculousness that I'm wearing a jumper and insisting on keeping on. I'm only wearing a vest underneath. You'd see like my hairy shoulders if I took it off. Anyway, I digress. It's not all about removing the genitals. I actually had more stuff added in that area than taken away. It's gender affirming not because it needed to happen for me to be my gender. There is a difference between who you are and what my gender actually is, and that's man, and it always has been, regardless of my transition stage, regardless of testosterone, of surgeries, whatever. And then there is your internal sense of how you feel about yourself. And gender dysphoria, it's affirming, it's treating gender dysphoria. It's not about being like, okay, you need to do this in order to be your gender. Somebody has just taken the word affirming incredibly literally, not actually knowing anything about the trans experience or the trans community or what gender dysphoria is or what alleviates gender dysphoria or just generally anything about trans people, and has made this meme thinking that they look incredibly clever when they don't. So thank you and goodbye. Remember, just because you're effing ugly doesn't mean you're another gender. I think it speaks a lot to the opinions of a lot of transphobes that so frequently attractiveness comes up. It's like, oh, you only transitioned because you think you're more attractive now, or you thought you'd be more attractive, or you only transitioned because you were ugly before. That's one side of it. And then the other side of it is, oh, it's such a shame you transitioned because you were so handsome, pretty, attractive, beautiful, whatever before. And it's like, one, make your mind up, get your story straight, transphobes. Two, this particular angle of like, you clearly only transitioned because you thought that you would be more attractive. Just because you value attractiveness that much and you seem to put it on some pedestal doesn't mean that everybody does. And honestly, I could have gone from being objectively the most beautiful woman, not that I ever was, but you know what I mean, like I could have gone from being viewed as objectively the most beautiful woman to like the least beautiful man, and I would still be significantly happier because my self-worth and my happiness are not based on how attractive other people view me as being. It's based on how I feel about myself and how I'm living my life and how authentic I'm being to me, not how other people think I look or how attractive they think I am. I don't care. And it's also kind of weird when people comment going like, you were pretty before, it's such a shame you transitioned. And it's like, all the photos of me pre-transition, I'm a maximum of 17 years old and it's just uncomfortable. Good for you that you think the epitome of, I don't know, being a person is being attractive. What a wonderful way to live. LGBTQIA+, choose your fighter. And this has been posted as some kind of burn. What you're showing is there is a spectrum of people. No one LGBTQ+ person is the same. Not all people who are part of the community are gender non-conforming. Not all are gender conforming. Not all are this or that. Like, there's such a huge diversity and like a richness in that diversity within the LGBT+ community. And some people choose not to celebrate it, and that's their problem. That's their loss. They, them, ugly people with no personality or skills. Saying there are potentially as many genders as are people is goofy AF. This is the same concept as the couple memes ago. Oh, yeah, surely your life must feel so empty because I don't think you're conventionally attractive. That must be why you wanted to use they, them pronouns, so that you were interesting. Bullshit, Vivian.
Bullshit, Vivian. And I know exactly. Bullshit.
So this is a progress flag, and on the rainbow portion of the progress flag, it says healthy cells, and then on the progress triangle, before it included the intersex element, where colours that represent trans people, people of colour, and people with HIV/AIDS. Somebody's put cancer over that, as if that is killing the community. Not just transphobic, not just racist, generally disgusting. Also, the rainbow flag was always designed with the intention of including everybody in the community. Everybody who is LGBTQ+, everyone is included in the rainbow flag. We just have different flags now because there is a lot of transphobia within cis LGB groups, and trans people and LGBT+ people of colour are underrepresented and face a lot of discrimination even from within the community, that it has been added to show extra support and recognition of these groups of people. Personally, not my favourite thing, because it's kind of created this feeling that if places and people aren't using the progress version of the flag, it's like, well, there is one out there and I don't know how I feel when it's not used. Am I included, or is this like a deliberate exclusion of trans people, of people of colour and things like that? That's just my personal take though. I'm not judging on people who like it and use it, but this meme is just horrendous. Oh, you're so transphobic, your racism is showing. Trans rights are shitting on gay rights. Gay rights are shitting on women's rights. I thought it was trans rights that was directly shitting on women's rights. Get your story straight. And then women's rights are shitting on everyone else. I'm surprised there's not a racist element to this. So it's sexist, misogynistic, homophobic, and transphobic. You nearly got a strike of bigotry with that, but not quite. Yes. Oh, poor cis straight men. How discriminated against they are. How shat upon are they? Don't know your gender? Well, no worries. Check inside your pants. Not happy with your gender? You can't change it and just accept that. I hate the check inside your pants. Just completely forgetting that like intersex people exist. Also completely ignoring the fact that if you do learn beyond basic biology, gender, sex, two separate things. You can't change it and just accept that. Again, I did not change my gender. I accepted that I couldn't change my gender, so I changed my body. That's what I had to do because I couldn't change this. Conversion therapy is shown to not work. It literally doesn't work. So I went down the affirmative route, which is the medically accepted route for trans people. Thank you. And that's it for the transphobic memes for today. What did we think? Did we like learning about, what did we learn? That transphobes are assholes. Yes, the arsehole. If you like the video, think about giving a thumbs up and subscribing if you want to, but no pressure. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye.